Good afternoon, Mobile County fourth graders, and welcome back to fourth grade ELA lesson with Ms. Cook. We have been looking at reading of informational standard, fourth grade, first standard. And again, this is a critical standard. I was just in Miss Otto's class, Google Meet, on Tuesday. Shout out to Miss Otto and her amazing fourth graders. She was just talking to her students about how important the reading of informational standard is for informational text, obviously, but for functional text. If you think about it, boys and girls, and just like she was saying, we right now in fourth grade are looking at more of a half and half transitional of reading of literature, reading of informational text. However, boys and girls, just think middle school. I know, it's right around the corner. I was just meeting with a fifth grader not too long ago, and middle school is even closer for her. So just think, boys and girls, when you get into middle school, high school, and whatnot, you're going to shift more toward the informational text. And just like I was telling you on Monday, when my husband and I went to Home Depot, we were looking at informational text on a box, looking at the garage doors. So you might see this in technical text, as Miss Otto was referring to in her Google Meet lesson. And so, boys and girls, this type of inferencing, conclusion making is extremely, or as we say in Mobile County, critical for you to remember. So hopefully, boys and girls, you have been able to play a few games or use your inferencing skill throughout this week, maybe in games or throughout your iReady lessons or in reading your AR books. So we're going to just take a few minutes to just refresh our memory because, boys and girls, who doesn't need a refreshing beverage on a hot summer day? Or in this case, my goodness, a hot spring day. As we're looking at the last day of April, we sure have had some warm weather in April. So we are dealing with drawing conclusions and making inferences, especially in the reading of informational text. And as we look at it, remember, boys and girls, it is referred to as an educated guess, and it's when you look beyond what the author is trying to tell you. So you're taking those explicit green light details and you're pulling beyond what the author is actually saying. So you're looking further, out of the box thinking. Also, it's referred to as reading between the lines. And keep in mind, boys and girls, that your inference or conclusion could be and possibly will be different than your classmates and or your family members. Don't forget, boys and girls, that informational text looks different than literature. When you open your reading textbook at school, it looks very different than your science and social studies textbook. Many times it's due to the features that an informational text has, such as titles, headings, and subheadings. Also, it's attributed to the text features that are known within informational text, such as photographs, pictures with captions, as well as timelines, maps, diagrams also with captions, charts, graphs, tables, and such. As you can see in this graphic that I have on the PowerPoint slide, you can see that this text features of informational text has many different types of features and some of them also text structures. I really wanted you to see this graphic, boys and girls, because I want you to really visualize, if you're anything like I am, and you probably are, because many of us fall into this category, we are visual learners. We love visuals. And visi means to see. So we a lot of times, and you may hear this phrase, we eat with our eyes. Wait a minute, Miss Cook. Did you just say we eat with our eyes? Well, let me finish that phrase. We eat with our eyes first. Now, eventually, we do eat with our teeth, and we eat later on with our teeth and our tongue. And never mind, you don't need a science lesson. What I want you to really remember, boys and girls, is this is a two-part puzzle. When you're dealing with inferencing and conclusions, you're taking the details from the text that you're reading along with what you already know, such as your background information, and you're putting them together to draw conclusions or make an inference. So you've got to use both of them. And boys and girls, in just a minute, yes, I'm going to refer back to the standard, and I'm going to point out that yet again, 3 different times within the standard the word text is mentioned because it is that important. So as you will see, this visual is a clue that will help you as the reader and me as a reader know that I really need to use those details along with what I already know and put them together to make an inference or draw a conclusion. Always put your inference to the test by asking yourself, can I go back in the text and underline or circle where I found the answer or where I found the first part of that puzzle piece? If you can't, boys and girls, then you might as well stop right there. Stop dead in your tracks, so to speak, because it has to have evidence and details from the text. But don't forget too, boys and girls, that your evidence could come from captions and or pictures or timelines, any of those text features that are evident within informational text. And then secondly, you have to ask yourself, does my answer, does my response make sense? And in that, you're asking yourself, did I answer the question that is being asked? And one way and one strategy to know that is by rereading the question itself. So those, boys and girls, are some just things that I wanted to refresh you on, and myself, in fact, as I am remembering what reading of informational text is and what it means to draw a conclusion or make an inference based on informational text. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to look at our standard, which is so important because that is our objective, that is what we're focusing on, and that is also where we want to make sure that we are examining a little bit closely. And you can see that we are using the details and examples within a text when we are explaining what the text says explicitly. That's when the author tells us, and when drawing inferences from the text. So when the author just doesn't come out and say it, we need to use evidences from the text as well as what we already know to come up with a conclusion or an inference. And as I promised, yes, we have the word text once, twice, and even 3 times. When something is repeated more than once, we know, boys and girls, that it is important. That's a little side note for when your mom or dad or grandmother or your guardian says something more than once, you know that he or she means business. Boys and girls, I want to also tell you that when you're doing your lessons, how important it is for you, if you're working on reading, how important it is for you to use notebook paper or scratch paper. Yes, I know you are used to hearing scratch paper for math, but it is very important for you to use some type of paper to jot down your thoughts when you're reading. Just as important for math as well. I just want to show you, for my lesson today, are you looking at all the different colors? And yes, boys and girls, and that's for you. I did that to help remind me. So if I'm doing this for a lesson, how much more do you need to do that on a lesson or an assessment or during iReady or any other time, boys and girls, that you're doing things? You need to make sure that you're making notes. And you can see I have arrows everywhere. I have things highlighted. They're in different colors so that things point out to me. Again, I told you I'm a visual learner. So I have things in certain colors. I have things. So boys and girls, please do that as you are working. And we all know as teachers that you like to highlight, and you like to underline, you like to box in, you like to circle. We see it when we're walking around our classrooms. So we know, boys and girls, that you like to do that. Just don't forget it while you're home as well. Please do that so that it helps you as the reader remember things. So now, boys and girls, we're going to look into a text. And just like I told you last week, we are definitely going to look into more about the potato. But before we do, let's take a look at the directions. Many times, boys and girls, students, forget to read the directions. In doing so, it will help you as the reader remember and even think about what and get your brain ready for what's coming up. So don't forget to read the directions. And many times, and as I'm looking at this page, the directions are even bolded. So when something is bolded, that tells me, look at me, look at me. And many times we skip over it. Please do not skip over the bolded text. In this case, the directions. So it says, read the first paragraph of a social studies passage about the potato. Now, I do want to just take a few moments to talk to you just for a moment about what these directions say. They are chunking the paragraphs. Boys and girls, it's very important for you to stop and think so that your brain has time to record into that file in your brain about what every paragraph is about. So in this first paragraph, you are going to be able to put into your mind what happened or what took place. We also can see within the directions that it's social studies. So it's going to give us maybe a history lesson. And then it even tells us the word potato. Oh, it helps me know what the topic, what the subject is about. And that helps me get my mind focused in. It helps me zoom in on what I'm going to be learning. Again, this is informational text. So this is not necessarily for entertainment. This is not to make me laugh in that type of way that literature is. This is more for information. This is for details. This is to allow me to learn something sometimes. So keep that in mind, boys and girls, as we're reading this text and throughout the next few weeks. So the name of this is The Travels of the Potato. Now, travels, wait a minute. And if you notice, I didn't skip over the title either. The title is very important. Again, it helps me as the reader get focused. Now, we read about a reading of literature text several weeks ago that was a quirky text, and it took them 5 years to get from here to there and from Georgia to New York. But I don't think this is what this is going to be about, boys and girls, because reading of informational text is a nonfiction passage which tells me that it's true. But I don't know about you, the last time I was driving down the road, which not you driving, but when you were riding in the passenger seat, I don't remember seeing a potato driving. So, okay. I think I'm finally with it now. The travels of the potato the author is wanting to give us personification, which is a figurative language. If you think about the word personification, it has the root word person. So it wants to give the potato a person's characteristic. Oh, so maybe how the potato traveled. Now we know that the potato didn't go on a traveling excursion like we do when we're driving in the car, but oh, you know what? Now that I've read the directions, it says social studies. So maybe how the potato traveled, like the history of the potato? Now that makes more sense. Do you see, boys and girls, how I've just read the directions and the title, and I've already pulled out a good bit because in that two-part puzzle, I'm using a lot of my background knowledge with what I've just read a couple things, but I've put it all together already. So I'm already like halfway there to learning a lot without even going too far within the passage. So doing all of that really helps get your mind focused in. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first sentence. The potato plant is native to the Andes mountain region of South America. Now I know that we live in North America. So you know what I did? Again, I'm a visual learner. So I decided, hey, if I would like to see the Andes Mountains, I bet you would like to see the Andes Mountains. So here's an example of a map, and again, we were talking about nonfiction text and how there's maps. Here's a map of South America, and this portion on the western coast of South America, where my mouse is scrolling over, is part of the Andes Mountains. This is the Andes Mountains. And in my research for today, I found out that the Andes Mountain is the world's largest or longest mountain range in the whole world. It covers over 7 countries. That's a long distance. That's amazing, isn't it? So this is more of a cartoonish type map, and I thought, okay, let's look a little, we are 4th graders, right? Take a look at this one. Wow. And again, we have legends and things like that here, but I wanted you to see a little bit more geographical type style map. And then I thought, ooh, I wonder what they look like. So I found some pictures online. Aren't those beautiful? And then I saw another picture that I thought was fairly interesting, and that's a totally different take on the Andes Mountains. So boys and girls, that is a little bit of a side note with our passage. So we know from reading the first sentence that the potato plant is native. When have I ever heard that word native? Oh, Native Americans. And I know in my study of Native Americans that those are the people that were here before anybody else came here. Oh, so I wonder what that could mean. I wonder if there's any hints in the text as I read along. So the potato plant is native to the Andes mountain region of South America. This is where it first appeared and thrived. Wait a minute, I see some words that are going to help me. Look right here, boys and girls. First appeared. So the word native means that they were the first ones there, like Native Americans especially. So the native plant, that means it was first there, first appeared, okay? So that's a context clue for what the word native means. Okay, the ancient Incas were the first people known to eat the potato. It is an excellent food source, one that provides both energy and vitamins. During the 1500s, Spanish explorers to that region encountered the potato. They had never seen it before. Oh, wow, look at that word encountered. If you think about that word encountered, look at the words that followed in the next sentence. Never seen it before. If you encounter something, that means that it is your first time becoming around it, or you've never seen it before. By the 1600s, so that's within the next 100 years, potatoes were grown in many places in Spain. So we know that within the next 100 years, wow. So undoubtedly, the Spanish must have really liked the potato the way it tasted, and we know based on what we just read in this sentence too, that it gave them energy and the vitamins it needed in order to flourish or in order to live. All right, boys and girls, as my time is wrapping up, there are a few things that I want to talk to you about. We're going to study more about this potato on Monday. I do want to remind you to continue reading your AR books, as well as challenge you. I have an exit slip challenge, maybe for you to do your own research, of course with your parents' or guardians' permission, to find out more about the potato. Boys and girls, don't forget to get a snack and maybe use the bathroom so that you can be ready for Miss Weekly's upcoming math lesson. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.